Yes, guys. Everything bite-sized here. I've just realised my voice is really deep. It's probably because I actually finally got some sleep after 2 days of not being able to sleep. It was doing my nutting, man. My bipolar was going crazy. I'm trying not to cuss in my videos now, and when I do, I'm cutting them out because I don't like cutting things out of my videos. But I always do my videos in one take, and I always have not read the articles yet, and I go through them for the first time with you guys. I might read the first paragraph just to see if I want to make a video and want to hit record. But yeah, so this article is from dummies.com, which is the people who run the book series blah 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 for dummies. So it's called 7 Things to Know About Irrational Guilt, and this really hit home, like the title, straight away, because I get a lot of irrational guilt, and I think a lot of people do, and it's one of the main symptoms of bipolar is feelings of guilt and shame that are often not tied to anything logical. But I think everyone can relate to having irrational guilt, especially people with depression. Unless you're a psychopath, then you don't have any guilt whatsoever. But yeah, let's crack. Oh yeah, and unless you sociopaths are capable of feeling guilt, but they just don't care about it. So you could argue that sociopaths are worse because psychopaths are born like that, or well, there's arguments that a psychopath can develop through environmental factors, but I'm not too sure about that. But typically, I think it's a genetic thing, so they can't help it, like not being able to feel guilt or have a conscience. But sociopaths, like, they are capable of normal human emotions. They just choose to act like a psychopath. So you could argue that sociopaths are actually worse. Wait, let me search something. So I think it's 1% of the population are psychopaths, and I think it's like 2 to 3% are sociopaths. What percentage of the population are psychopaths? Oh, I'm getting a burst of views on YouTube. I always keep my analytics on my left screen. It says incidents. Hare reports that about 1% of the general population meets the clinical criteria for psychopathy. Hare further claims that the prevalence of psychopaths is higher in the business world than in the general population. Makes sense, because psychopaths always strive for success more than normal people do. Figures of around 3 to 4% have been cited for more senior positions in business. I mean, it makes sense because when you're like a CEO of a corporation, you've got to make some decisions that most people would be like kind of morally dubious about. But yeah, it makes sense. Let's see what percentage of the population are sociopaths. I reckon it's 2 to 3. I got the site. I nailed the psychopaths. Between 1 and 4. Okay, so not that different. The prevalence of ASPD, which I guess stands for antisocial personality disorder, peaks in people between age 24 to 44 and often decreases in people aged 45 to 64. Interesting. So do they just start regretting the things that are piled up that they've done? That is interesting. ASPD is more common in males than females. That does not surprise me. In the United States, so probably the rest of the world as well. The prevalence of antisocial personality disorder in the general population is estimated to be between 1 and 4%. So 2 to 3% is kind of in the middle of that. So I kind of nailed that as well. I must have read it before somewhere else, like, but I'm good at guessing things usually. I've got like a sixth sense or something. It's mad. Right, okay, let's crack on with the article. I've already got sidetracked and gone off on swore. I've been trying not to swear. Oh man, let me find the article again because I've just lost it. Now here it is. Yeah. I was trying not to cuss and I just cussed straight away in like the first 5 seconds. All right, let me just crack on. 7 things to know about irrational guilt. Guilt can, in some instances, actually lead to self-improvement and build self-esteem. Yeah. The problem for codependents is that their guilt is usually irrational and stems from shame and poor boundaries. Oh, so it's talking about it in the context of codependency, like between friends and partners, I'm guessing. Studies show that healthy guilt encourages people to have more empathy for others. to take corrective action and to improve themselves. Shame, on the other hand, makes you feel inferior, inadequate, or bad about who you are versus what you did. Yeah, I get loads of irrational shame and guilt, man. And a lot of the time, I can't pin it down to anything. Like, it's just the feeling. Carrying on. Unhealthy guilt impedes self-acceptance. Oh, this is deep, man. This article is going to make me cry or something. I weren't prepared for this. Unhealthy guilt impedes self-acceptance. Self-forgiveness is self-essential to self-esteem. Wow. Self-forgiveness is self-essential to self-esteem. Yet for many codependents, self-acceptance remains elusive because of unhealthy guilt. Sometimes for decades or a lifetime, it may be an unrelenting source of pain. Oh man, see, when I become friends with someone, or I get a romantic partner, I become codependent with them because I latch on to people. Like, I'm really intense, and I build them up in my head, and then when like everything falls apart, it crushes me, man. And I often blame myself when it's not my fault. I'm not saying I've never been at fault in relationships before, but pardon me, when they break apart, a lot of the time I blame myself, and I think a lot of people have that issue. I think this article will relate to a lot of people. Yeah. So you might hold the belief that you should feel guilty and condemn yourself, not once but over and over, or guilt may simmer in your subconscious. Either way, this kind of guilt is insidious. I love that word, insidious. For those that don't know, it means harmful over time. And so this kind of guilt is insidious and self-destructive and can sabotage your ability to find happiness and achieve your goals. So true, man. That's interesting. Here are things you should examine when you feel guilty. Guilt shouldn't drag on or preoccupy you. When guilt is irrational and not absolved, it's absolved like fixed, I think. Yeah, it can lead to shame. Instead of enhancing empathy and self-improvement, it has the opposite effect. It causes greater self-preoccupation and undermines both the self and relationships. It also promotes aggression and depression. I'm going to read that again. That is very interesting. Guilt shouldn't drag on and preoccupy you. When guilt is irrational and not absolved, it can lead to shame. Instead of enhancing empathy and self-improvement, it has the opposite effect. It causes greater self-preoccupation and undermines both the self and relationships. It also promotes aggression and depression. Yeah, because I suppose you end up getting frustrated at it, so you get aggressive and depressed. Well, that's really interesting. You may be punishing yourself unnecessarily. Are you harder on yourself than others? Yeah, I definitely am. Would you keep punishing someone over and over for a mistake, or would you forgive them? Oh my word, this is gold. I bet the full book for this, from this article, is amazing. I might actually buy it. Guilt causes anger and resentment, not only at yourself, but towards other people in order to justify your actions. Anger, resentment, and guilt sap your energy. They really do. They keep you stuck in the past and prevent you from moving forward. A better approach is to think of your mistakes as learning opportunities. Yeah, man. I love that. A better approach is to think of your mistakes as learning opportunities. To be sure you'll have another chance. To be sure you'll have another chance to do things differently next time. Guilt about your thoughts and feelings impairs rather than promotes self-acceptance. I really struggle with self-acceptance, man. I really do. So guilt about your thoughts and feelings impairs rather than promotes self-acceptance. But sometimes you shouldn't accept yourself and how you are. You know, like sometimes you need working on and changing. Like, and you shouldn't accept who you are, because some you know, like, I think you get what I'm trying to say. I don't need to go any deeper than that. You may feel guilty not only for your actions but also for your thoughts. Sometimes like I feel really like angry at someone and I feel guilty about it or something like that. Alright, so in parentheses it says, for instance, wishing someone pain, misfortune, or even death. Wow, yeah, I've wished people like to die, like enemies that you know, like who I've got beef with, like in my old town, which is naughty and dodgy, there'd be people I had beef with, you know, like I just wanted them gone, so that I don't wish death on anyone really, apart from people who wish death on me. who could, because they wanted to stab me and stuff like that, you know. So I was just thinking, yeah. So I'm just going to be honest. I wanted them dead, and I have wanted people to experience pain because they've given me pain, and misfortune because they've given me misfortune, and that's very controversial to say, but I think people will relate to that, and it's in this article for a reason. So let me read that again. Guilt about your thoughts and feelings impairs rather than promotes self-acceptance. Oh yeah, and also those things can be intrusive thoughts that actually distress you, and you don't, because intrusive thoughts, like, you don't actually want those intrusive thoughts to happen. I think that's why they're called intrusive, because they're like, you know, like, and you feel guilty about it. Like it says, you may feel guilty not only for your actions but also for your thoughts. Parentheses, for instance, wishing someone pain, misfortune, or even death. Your feelings, parentheses, like anger, lust, or greed, or your lack of feelings, such as not reciprocating love or friendship, or not grieving over the loss of someone close. Okay, so let me read that again. You may feel guilty not only for your actions but also for your thoughts. For instance, wishing someone pain, misfortune, or even death. Your feelings, like anger, lust, or greed, or your lack of feelings, such as not reciprocating love or friendship, or not feeling grief over the loss of someone close. Oh wow, you may be feeling guilty for things others have done because of a lack of boundaries and low self-esteem. It's common for codependents to take the blame for others' behavior. I've been in relationships like that where I've been completely wrapped around a bird's finger, and you know, like they end up gaslighting and making me believe that their behaviour is acceptable, like I've done something to deserve it, and then later, upon reflection, after not having been with them for a while, I realised that they had me wrapped around their little finger. So yeah, interesting. Although irrational, you may feel guilty for the thoughts, attributes, feelings, and actions of someone else. You may be adopting others' projections. Wow, that's deep. You might judge yourself based upon the blame or false accusations emanating from others, which you accept to be true. For example, an abuser or addict may blame you to avoid responsibility, but you take on that blame. If your partner is a narcissist, they might accuse you of being selfish, even though your partner is the one who is selfish. Wow. A lot of people are going to relate to this, I think. Rationalizing, or what percentage of the population are narcissists? Percentage of population between 0.5 and 1%. I thought it would have been more like 5%. Interesting. I know it's in the same cluster of illnesses as borderline personality disorder and psychopathy. Cluster B, I think they're called. Or actually, schizophrenia and bipolar might be cluster B. I'm not sure, but schizophrenia and bipolar are in the same mental illness category by themselves. And narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and psychopathy are in the same thing. I know that much. So this is nearly the end of the article. I'll read what I've just read and then read the last bit. Okay, so you may be adopting others' projections. You might judge yourself based upon the blame or false accusations emanating from others, which you accept to be true. For example, an abuser or addict may blame you to avoid responsibility. I think I've done that before when I was an addict, blamed others, you know, anyway. But you take on that blame. If your partner is a narcissist, they might accuse you of being selfish, even though your partner is the one who is selfish. Do you know, sometimes I think being an addict can make you act like a narcissist, even if you aren't one, which you could argue makes you one. But anyway, that's just my reflection. Rationalizing or ignoring your guilt helps only temporarily, but it isn't the same as self-forgiveness. So rationalizing or ignoring your guilt helps only temporarily. I'm guessing they mean like stuffing it down, or you know, like trying to like fob it off as something it's not. But it isn't the same as self-forgiveness. Alternatively, beating yourself up prolongs guilt and shame and damages your self-esteem. The best approach is to face what you did, accept responsibility, do some self-examination, and take remedial action. What does remedial mean? Given or intended as a remedy or cure. Oh, cool. Oh, look, interesting. So, you find how you find a cure for it. So I'll read that last bit again. Rationalizing or ignoring your guilt helps only temporarily, but it isn't the same as self-forgiveness. Alternatively, beating yourself up prolongs guilt and shame and damages your self-esteem. The best approach is to face what you did, accept responsibility, do some self-examination, and take remedial action. That is deep. Right, so that's the end of the article. This has been Everything Bite Size. Check out my music videos, check out my shorts, and check out my other educational videos like this, and I'll be back in the next one. Peace.